When 400,000 soldiers surrendered, he gave them one order: dig. They thought surrender meant survival. After months of siege, starvation, and battlefield hell, the soldiers of Zhao finally dropped their weapons. Exhausted, filthy, barely standing. They'd lost the battle, but maybe not their lives. Then came the order: not detain them, not feed them, just one word: dig. And suddenly, 400,000 men realized the truth. Surrender wasn't the end. It was just the next phase of war, with a shovel. Let's rewind. It's 260 BCE, smack in the middle of China's Warring States period, a time when peace was just a rumor and every kingdom had a standing army and trust issues. There were 7 kingdoms, each one scheming for dominance, but one was rising fast: Qin. Qin didn't have the most territory or the most money, but what it had was ruthlessness. Qin played the long game, with knives, and leading its military? A man who would have made Darth Vader nervous: General Bai Qi. His nickname? The Human Butcher. And here's the wild part: Bai Qi wasn't some unhinged warlord frothing at the mouth. He was disciplined, educated, methodical. Think less raging barbarian, more terrifying middle manager with a perfect kill-death ratio. He won over 70 battles, never lost once, never. He didn't fight with honor. He fought with spreadsheets and strategy. In modern terms, imagine if Napoleon, Darth Vader, and a chess grandmaster had a baby. That was Bai Qi. And unlike other generals who took prisoners, he just didn't see the point. Efficiency was bloodier, but neater. His strategy? Win, no matter how many corpses it took. Now enter Zhao. Strong kingdom, tough army, not exactly known for losing. Until now. At a place called Changping, the two sides clashed in one of the bloodiest battles in Chinese history. Zhao sent 450,000 troops. Qin sent Bai Qi, with fewer soldiers, but Bai Qi didn't care. He wasn't here for a flashy victory. He was here to grind them down. First, he cut Zhao's supply lines. Then, he blocked every exit. Then, he waited. Now you might be wondering, why didn't Zhao just run? Great question. They tried. But Bai Qi had closed off every path like a sadistic wedding planner. No food, no reinforcements, no way out. Zhao's generals kept arguing over what to do next. One wanted to charge, the other wanted to hold the line, and the king back home was micromanaging from the palace like a CEO who's never been to the battlefield. Result? Total gridlock. By the time they agreed on anything, they were already halfway to starvation, and halfway into Bai Qi's trap. For months, Zhao's soldiers starved in their camps. They ate their horses, then their leather armor, then, according to some accounts, each other. This wasn't a war. It was a slow, suffocating collapse. Eventually, Zhao surrendered. Over 400,000 men laid down their weapons. They thought it was over. Spoiler, it wasn't. This is where most war stories stop. Battle ends, prisoners taken. Maybe some dramatic negotiations. But Bai Qi didn't negotiate. He didn't do peace treaties. He did calculated terror. 400,000 prisoners. Too many to feed, too many to guard, too risky to keep. So he picked the most efficient option: make them disappear. The order came down. March them out, group by group. No chains, no weapons, no ropes, just tools, shovels. At first, some probably thought it was labor duty. Maybe they were building a new camp, but the trenches were too long, too wide, too deep, and they just kept digging, field after field, trench after trench. Then it hit them. They weren't building anything. They were digging graves, their own. Like what you're hearing? Hit that subscribe button. We've got more madness coming. The guards moved in. No yelling, no swords drawn, no drama, just nods, just shovels, just motion. Prisoners were pushed into the pits they had dug, layer by layer, row by row, and the dirt came down. Some cried, some begged. Most just stood there numb, too exhausted to fight, too shocked to flee. They were buried alive, smothered by the same earth they had carved open. No execution squads, no fire, no blade, just silence, soil, and a really dark team-building activity. By the end, there were no markers, no names, just a field of shallow mounds, a battlefield turned into a mass grave. 400,000 gone, not in combat, not in defiance, just erased. So, why do this? The official excuse? Logistics. Too many mouths to feed, not enough supplies. It was framed as a cost-cutting measure, like an ancient spreadsheet had decided their fate. But really? This was psychological warfare. Bai Qi wanted to send a message, loud, clear, and chilling. If you fight Qin and lose, there's no surrender. You don't get captured, you get buried. That threat worked better than 1,000 arrows. Across the other kingdoms, panic spread. Alliances cracked. Armies hesitated. Commanders suddenly remembered they had other things to do. Because the thought of being buried alive? That tends to wreck morale. Even within Qin, the decision rattled people. Some ministers applauded it. Others were horrified. Eventually, the king himself started to worry. Bai Qi had become too dangerous, too powerful, too much. He was forced into retirement, then ordered to take his own life. That's right. The general who gave Qin one of its greatest victories was quietly deleted from the story. Too brutal to honor, too successful to ignore. The battlefield didn't forget. For years afterward, Changping was cursed. Locals said the ground wouldn't grow crops, that animals avoided it, that if you walked through it at night, you could hear breathing under the soil. No one wanted to live there, not because of superstition, but because they knew what was underneath. Then came the rumors that Qin didn't leave the bodies, they used them. As construction began on what would later become the Great Wall, some said the remains from Changping were mixed into the foundation, pressed into stone, crushed into the earth, buried twice. True or not, the legend stuck. That the Great Wall wasn't just made of stone, but of bones. They called it the longest cemetery on Earth. There's no official confirmation, but Chinese folklore says yes. And honestly, are you surprised? Labor shortages were common. Cement wasn't cheap. Corpses, plentiful. So, the legend goes, blood, bone, and lime mixed into the wall's base layers. Morbid? Yes. Effective? Also, yes. So, next time someone calls the Great Wall one of the world's greatest architectural feats, just remember, it might be part fortress, part tombstone. And here's what's wild. We still don't know exactly where the graves are. We know the battlefield. We know the kingdom. We know the death toll. But the actual burial sites? Still hidden, still unmarked, still avoided. Maybe that's for the best, because beneath the quiet hills of Shanxi province, beneath centuries of wind and silence, lie the ghosts of an army that never got home. Not warriors, not heroes, just men who surrendered and vanished. Moral of the story? In ancient China, peace treaties came with a shovel. And what did Qin tell their own people? Not, we buried 400,000 men alive. No, the state-controlled message was something like, glorious victory at Changping, threat neutralized, borders secure, all hail Qin. The propaganda machine rolled on. They didn't build statues, they built silence. Kids weren't taught about it. Farmers didn't ask. And anyone who did? Suddenly very quiet. History wasn't written by the victors, it was redacted by them. And somewhere in Qin's royal archives, that day at Changping was probably filed under problem solved. If you made it this far, drop a comment and tell us, would you have surrendered? Or taken your chances with the sword? Let's play a game. Spot the AI fails in this video. Bet you missed a few.